65,000 Americans forced from their homes overnight, and today is actually the calm before the next storm. 3 wildfires are circling Spokane, Washington from 3 directions simultaneously, and all 3 are at 0% containment. Here's the brutal irony: today is the single best weather day firefighters will see all week, and that window closes by Wednesday. By Wednesday night, conditions could be worse than the weekend that destroyed over 600 structures in under 48 hours. 102 large fires are burning across America right now. That is National Preparedness Level 5, the absolute maximum. Year to date, we have burned 5 million acres, 137% of the 10-year average, and it is only August 3rd. Oh, and one more thing, we needed to call in firefighters from Australia and New Zealand because we ran out of our own. Y'all, this is a big-time, impactful, action-packed wildfire situation across the country, so let's get right into it. All right, let's start in the south because even Florida is not sitting this fire season out. The Bluegill Fire sparked yesterday inside Everglades National Park, about 7 miles west of Miami, 700 acres, 0% contained. Here's the interesting thing: the Everglades in August should be soaking wet, and the last place you'd ever expect an active wildfire. The fact that fuels are dry enough to sustain fire behavior in South Florida right now tells you everything about how bad this season is. Mailbox Fire near Taylor, Florida, 409 acres, 50% contained, crews making progress with minimal fire behavior today. Behaven Bay Fire, 77 miles east of Tallahassee, 170 acres, 73% contained and almost done. Dennis Rock Fire, 3 miles east of Clayton, Oklahoma, 250 acres, 75% contained, hardwood litter fuels. Now, I want to be honest here, the South is not the main story today, and we need to get west as fast as possible. But the fact that we are talking about active fires from Florida to Oklahoma to Minnesota tells you this is a truly nationwide crisis. Let's jump straight to the southwest because the monsoon is stirring over southeast Arizona and southwest New Mexico today. Wet thunderstorms could develop this afternoon. Wet means rain actually hits the ground and helps firefighters. Unlike dry lightning, the island fire at Cibola National Wildlife Refuge in Arizona is 90% contained. That one is nearly done. But outside that monsoon zone into Southern California, the Great Basin, and the Pacific Northwest, we are in extreme fire weather territory. Relative humidity between 4 and 15% across a massive swath of the west that is essentially zero fuel moisture. 4% humidity for reference. The Sahara Desert averages around 25%. We are drier than the Sahara across the west right now. Southern California has 3 fires still active: the Great Fire near Ramona, Cinder south of Bishop, and the Rock Fire near Independence. The Rock Fire at 12,000 acres is 95% contained, but the Great Fire near Ramona still has structures threatened. Now, I mentioned those Australian and New Zealand firefighters at the top. Let me put that in full context because it is remarkable. One 15-member international incident management team and 59 fireline personnel from Australia and New Zealand are actively on fires right now. 4 military MAFs, C-130 air tankers also deployed, 2 at Klamath Falls, Oregon, 2 at Redding, California, ready to drop right now. MAFS, that's when the Air Force converts military cargo planes into aerial tankers, 3,000 gallons dropped in seconds per pass. We are throwing absolutely everything we have at these fires, and the Northwest is where the vast majority of it is being directed. Northern California, the Feliz Fire, 4 miles northwest of Hopland in Mendocino County, 872 acres, 30% contained. Numerous structures are threatened, terrain is steep, fuels are critically dry, and by 2 p.m. today, conditions will get significantly worse. If you're anywhere near the Highway 101 corridor through Mendocino County, monitor your evacuation notices closely throughout the day. All right, now into the Great Basin, and this is where I need you to pay attention because this region is completely exploding right now. 13 large uncontained fires at preparedness level 4, and a stalled cold front is setting up some of the worst fire weather of the season. That stalled boundary is squeezing out west winds gusting 25 to 35 miles per hour, with humidity as low as 4%. The Tartar Fire in Boise District, Idaho, brace yourself, grew by 81,667 acres in a single 24-hour period. It now stands at 97,143 total acres, only 16% contained, and evacuation orders are in effect. 21 miles northwest of Weiser, Idaho. If you are in that area and have not left yet, you need to leave right now. Once again, the Tartar Fire grew the equivalent land area of a mid-sized American city in just one single day. The Widemouth 2 Fire in Fish Lake National Forest, Utah, 36,000 acres overnight. 0% showing extreme fire behavior. Extreme fire behavior means crews cannot safely engage. That includes crowning, wind-driven runs, and embers spotting far ahead of the fire front. Mouse Meadow Fire at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, 37,500 acres, 0% also showing extreme fire behavior. Wildfire near Ely, Nevada, 5,700 acres, 0% crowning and wind-driven runs, threatening critical infrastructure. Black Canyon Fire near Price, Utah, only 500 acres, but 0% contained and already showing extreme fire behavior this morning. My goodness, 5 fires simultaneously showing extreme or critical fire behavior across the Great Basin on the same day. Total active burning across the Great Basin right now, 484,879 cumulative acres. And what's coming behind that, if you think the Great Basin is bad today, wait until we get to the Pacific Northwest. Let's take a look at this frame-by-frame Northern Rockies at Preparedness Level 4. 11 new fires just yesterday, 3 already major incidents. Sand Creek Fire, 5 miles east of Wisdom, Montana, 1,000 acres, 0% contained, active wind-driven runs ongoing this morning. Moose Mountain Fire, 27 miles northeast of Pierce, Idaho, 320 acres, 0% structures already being threatened. Middle Coulee Fire, 4 miles north of Carter, Montana, 500 acres of open grassland moving fast, moderate backing and uphill runs. Skillet Fire in Flathead National Forest near Olney, Montana, active torching, spotting behavior, and railroad infrastructure directly threatened. Upper Smith Fire in Idaho Panhandle National Forest near Port Hill, 2,191 acres, 40% contained, evacuations in effect. Here's the one piece of good news for the Northern Rockies today. Lighter winds are finally expanding into the region this morning. Temperatures running cooler than average across the inland northwest crews in Montana and northern Idaho are racing to use this window. But that window closes fast, and what is coming behind it for the Pacific Northwest is exactly what nobody wants to see. All right, I have been teasing Spokane since the very first second of this video, so let's get into it right now. This is the biggest urban wildfire disaster since the Dixie Fire in 2021, and it is actively happening right now in real time. Pacific Northwest at Preparedness Level 5, the absolute maximum 51 active incidents, 2.2 million acres burning in the region. 19,276 personnel currently assigned in the Northwest. That is the largest fire deployment in the country by far. 19 incident management teams committed in the Northwest alone, and they still cannot fully contain what is happening around Spokane. 3 fires have Spokane completely surrounded. Old Trails to the west, Autumn Lane to the northwest, Fairview to the northeast. Old Trails Fire 3 miles west of downtown Spokane, 3,619 acres, 0% contained this morning. Autumn Lane Fire, 7 miles northwest of the city, 3,351 acres, 0%, grew 2,400 acres yesterday alone. Fairview Fire, 2 miles northeast, 1,056 acres, 0%, active spotting in timber and grass, spotting embers into neighborhoods. 3 fires, 3 directions, all 0%. California Incident Management Team 7 is running all 3 simultaneously as one complex. Over 65,000 residents evacuated from the Spokane area, more than 640 structures confirmed destroyed, and assessors are still counting. Nearly 10,000 customers are without electrical power right now. Utility crews physically cannot work safely near active fire perimeters. Spokane Mayor Lisa Brown has called this the worst natural disaster in the city's recorded history, and by every available metric, she is correct. These fires are burning in timber and brush on terrain with hills and canyons all around the city that drives extreme uphill runs and flanking. Uphill runs, that's when fire reaches a slope and accelerates dramatically because heat rises and preheats the fuel directly above the flame fronts. Flanking, that's when a fire spreads sideways along both sides of the main fire front simultaneously, making it nearly impossible to box in. One resident described a neighbor who came home, spotted fire starting in his own backyard, called it in immediately. That action saved the entire block. And once again today, right now is the best day firefighters will have all week. Light winds, temperatures near 80 degrees in Spokane. Every hour of today matters. Crews are building containment lines that need to survive what is coming Wednesday night. Now let's move north. The Sinlahekin Fire near Tonasket in Okanogan County, Washington, and this one has exploded in the last 24 hours. 73,794 acres. It grew by 37,000 acres in a single day. That is a thumper of a fire. 0% contained, level 3 go now. Evacuations in effect for all areas west of the Okanogan River, north to Oroville right now. Palmer Mountain, Loomis, Nighthawk, if you are in those communities. This is not a watch and wait situation. You need to be gone. Cal Fire Team 4 is managing Sinlahekin active wind-driven runs, and short-range spotting are still occurring as of this morning's report. Little Giant Fire, 30 miles northwest of Leavenworth in Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest, 38,500 acres, 0%. Extreme behavior on Little Giant crowning, long-range spotting, uphill runs crews have been unable to safely work the interior of that fire. Long-range spotting, that's when embers are lofted by the fire's own heat column and carried by wind, landing up to a mile or more ahead. That is how fires jump roads, jump rivers, jump the containment lines the crews spent 3 or 4 days carefully constructing. Oregon Coleman Creek Fire near Juntura is the largest single active fire in the Pacific Northwest at 264,000 acres. Big Grass Fire at 336,000 acres, Roe Creek Complex at 320,000, both still burning actively. Brand new yesterday, the I-5MM57 fire, 1 mile east of Grants Pass. Oregon ignited right along the Interstate 5 corridor. Active wind-driven behavior, road closures already in effect on the I-5 in southern Oregon. Check tripcheck.com before driving south today. Oregon has now burned over 2 million acres this season, shattering the previous all-time state record with 2 months of fire season still ahead. Kaiser Canyon Fire in Washington, 136,000 acres, 38%, 44 structures already lost in Colville Agency. Madrid Fire in Washington, 49,895 acres, only 17% contained, active torching and group runs. And over in Minnesota Superior National Forest near the Boundary Waters Bear Trap Fire at 29,000 acres, 40% contained. Evacuations in effect near Ely, Minnesota Wolfpack, Thumb, and Sioux fires all showing moderate behavior in deep timber litter and hardwood fuels. The fact that we are talking about large evacuating wildfires in Minnesota tells you how far this crisis has spread this season. All right, that is the current fire picture nationwide. Now let's talk about the next 24 to 48 hours and why they matter so much. For the Spokane Complex today is the containment window. Lighter winds, 80 degrees. Crews are working every acre they can reach safely. But starting tomorrow, temperatures begin climbing again across the inland northwest, and by Wednesday morning, the ridge begins to rebuild. For the Great Basin, no improvement in the next 48 hours. Winds stay breezy, humidity stays critically low, fire potential remains extreme. The Tartar Fire in Idaho and the Widemouth 2 in Utah are particularly vulnerable to significant new growth tomorrow given those atmospheric conditions. For Oregon, the same fire weather pattern holds through Wednesday, which means Coleman Creek and Big Grass will continue making daily acreage gains. For Minnesota, moderate to heavy rain arrives tonight from a frontal passage, and that is genuinely good news for the Superior National Forest fires. Now, here is the critical setup. That rebuilding ridge over the Great Basin Wednesday is exactly what triggers the major event we need to discuss. As the ridge strengthens, it compresses the temperature gradient between the hot interior and the cooler air sitting to the north of Spokane. That gradient, that pressure difference between hot and cold air masses, is what drives wind funneling through the mountain passes into the inland northwest. Think of it like a giant balloon being squeezed. The ridge is the squeeze, and Spokane is sitting right at the nozzle where the air comes out. The stronger that ridge builds Tuesday night through Wednesday, the more dangerous those offshore winds become for the 3 Spokane fires. And once again, 0% containment on all 3 fires going into that wind event. That is the nightmare scenario fire managers are planning for. All right, let's get into the major event outlook now, because this is what the next 48 hours are truly building toward. The official Predictive Services 7-day significant fire potential outlook is showing high to very high potential across the Pacific Northwest. High to very high, that is their second highest category, and it covers the Northwest, Great Basin, and California through the end of this week. Now I have to be straight with you because the models have been all over the place on Wednesday's wind event specifically. Yesterday's GFS run was showing a significant wind event Wednesday into Thursday, gusts near 30 miles per hour through the Spokane Valley. The European model, the Euro, generally considered more reliable at 5-day range, was more conservative, keeping the worst winds west of the Cascades. The difference between those two model solutions is the difference between a very bad fire day and a truly catastrophic fire day for Spokane. Some of this morning's runs are showing a middle ground solution, and I will have the latest in tomorrow's update after new data comes in. Let me explain the meteorological mechanism here, because understanding the why tells you exactly how seriously to take this threat. A heat ridge, that's a dome of high pressure aloft that acts like a lid, suppressing clouds and rain while baking the air beneath it. As the ridge rebuilds over the Great Basin Wednesday, it compresses the gradient between the hot, dry interior and the cooler coastal air mass. The result is offshore-type flow warmer, drier air pushed from the hot interior down through the Cascades and right across the fire perimeters. This is the exact same mechanism as California's notorious Santa Ana winds, but it's playing out this week over the Pacific Northwest instead. And remember, we have 3 fires with 0% containment sitting right in the path of that offshore flow event on Wednesday night. Once again, 0%, no lines in the ground, nothing stopping those fires from running if 30-mile-per-hour winds arrive Wednesday night. Here are your 3 scenarios for the Spokane Complex through this weekend: best case, middle case, and worst case. Let's go through them. Best case, the Euro solution verifies. The ridge stays weaker. Winds stay below 15 miles per hour Wednesday. Today's containment lines hold. In that scenario, crews can push from 0 toward 10 or 15% containment by Friday with no major new structure losses. Middle case, a compromise between the models. The ridge builds moderately. Winds peak near 20 to 25 miles per hour Wednesday evening. Southern and western fire lines hold, but the fires make new runs to the northeast. Additional structures threatened. Additional evacuations likely. This is the most probable scenario based on current data, big time impactful, but not a total collapse of containment efforts. Worst case, the GFS solution verifies hard. The ridge slams in. Winds gust 30 or more miles per hour from the east Wednesday night. Any lines built today get overrun. The three fires potentially merge or drive into neighborhoods that somehow survive the weekend intact. In that worst case scenario, we are looking at a catastrophic event that could exceed the destruction of last Saturday and Sunday combined. I want to be crystal clear, worst case is not the most probable outcome, but you need to know it is absolutely on the table. If the Day 7 outlook holds as we get to Day 5 tomorrow, Day 4, Wednesday morning we will track every single model run for you. Now let me put this entire fire season in historical context, because these numbers need to be said out loud for people to understand the scale. Year to date through August 3rd, 2026, 44,722 fires across the United States. 5,154,596 acres burned. That is larger than the combined area of Connecticut and Rhode Island. The 10-year average for this exact date is 3,759,000 acres. We are at 137% of that. Same date last year, 2025, we were at 3,396,000 acres burned total for the year. We have already burned 1.75 million more acres than this same date in 2025, with 2 months of fire season still ahead. Oregon has shattered its all-time state record for a single season. Washington is on pace to do the same. Still in early August, 29,200 personnel fighting fires right now nationwide, the equivalent of 2 full Army divisions committed to fire suppression. The system is at absolute capacity. There are no spare incident management teams in reserve anywhere in the country right now. 0. That means every new fire that ignites today directly competes with Spokane, Oregon, and the Great Basin for the same finite pool of resources. All right, let me bring this home with the most important thing, what you need to do right now if you are in any affected area. If you are under any evacuation order anywhere in the Pacific Northwest or Great Basin right now, please leave. Do not wait and see. Level 1 means get ready. Level 2 means be set to leave at any moment. Level 3, go now means you leave immediately with no hesitation. Level 3 orders are in effect right now near Spokane, in Okanogan County, near Tonasket, and near Weiser, Idaho. Please go. Sign up for emergency alerts. Washington use WA Alert. Oregon use oralert.gov. Do this today before the Wednesday event hits. Real-time road info, tripcheck.com in Oregon, ws.t.wa.gov in Washington. The I-5 in southern Oregon has active fire closures now. Wildfire smoke is a serious health threat. Air quality is very unhealthy to hazardous across the inland Northwest and Pacific Northwest coast today. Check airnow.gov and wildlandfiresmoke.net if you have asthma, respiratory issues, or heart disease. Stay indoors with windows sealed. This is a rapidly developing situation once again. Wednesday night through Thursday is the critical window every fire manager is watching right now. I will be back tomorrow with a full update on today's containment progress and the latest model data on that Wednesday wind event. If this forecast was helpful, please like and subscribe and turn your notifications on so you do not miss tomorrow's critical updates. Okay, I will see you in the very next update, and please stay safe out there today